Sometimes you think of really weird things to do on Football Manager, and then one time I decided to try this. Did it work? Let's find out. So what am I playing at here? What's going on? So here's the origin of the story. I was watching my Man City team yet again, and I thought, I want to be able to do that. So once or twice I've created City tactics in the past, and it's always like a basic template of a 4-3-3. This year, the inverted wing-back popping in there. Pretty simple stuff. But it's different this year. And as always, Pep has evolved, and he's got himself a player now who I feel is his perfect version of what he wants from a fullback. Yep, Academy prospect Rico Lewis has totally changed the way Pep uses his fullbacks. Now I believe he's got his ideal player from what he wants from that role, and it's led to the formation of City completely changing. So let's take a normal 4-3-3, which is kind of how people perceive City start off, with Haaland up top there, with the two wide men, and the midfield three with Rodri as a pivot. Now, since Lewis has become involved, the inverted wing-back position here used to be Cancelo coming in, and the reason they're so different is because Cancelo likes to go real far forward, he's a bit more expressive. Now Lewis wants to hold his position more, ping it, pass it. He reminds me a lot of Lahm at Bayern Munich when Pep converted him. He's much more disciplined in that area, basically getting it, giving it, getting it and giving it. But as I record this, it's literally the day after the Chelsea game. Lewis came on at half time and his starting position was not even there. It wasn't even there. It was more like this. He was literally in this position from the get-go. He didn't even worry about this position here. In fact, when Akanji came on, John Stones moved across and found himself there, with Akanji in there, with Nathan Ake there. Now look at that shape. Interesting, right? And that, believe it or not, is the shape very similar to what I've been playing at the minute with Inter Milan. I told my YouTube guys about it the other day to see if there was any interest in the video, and there was. And the interesting thing is, results have been, well, let's have a look. Right, who of you thought this would be happening? We are top of the league. Yes, we are Inter Milan. But I'm telling you now, if I'm trying to experiment with a one centre-back tactic, there's no way in the world I'm not using a team that I feel should be able to handle it. So I chose Inter, players I'm familiar with, and we're sitting top of the league. There you can see the season, and it's been going swimmingly right the way through. We have lost one game in the Champions League away to Real Madrid, and one game in Serie A just before the winter break to Atalanta, and it was a heavy one as well, 0-3. But if you look at the formation column down here, you can see the formation describes itself as 3-2-4-1. We've played that in every match. You want to see it, don't you? You want to see it. Well, it's coming, but first let me hit with you some key team stats. So average possession, now this is vital. In a team shape like we're using, we've got to keep hold of that ball, like City do in real life, and the average possession is 66%. Obviously that's not ball share, that's average possession, but it's still damn good. Now look at passes completed, 13,121 with a pass completion rate of 91%, cross completion rate of 23%, passes attempted is 14,000. So if you put them together with passes completed, the percentage is way up there. Passes attempted per game, 951, so very nearly 1,000 passes a match. Top scorers in the league. Wow. Oh, by the way, shout out to Verona. What's going on over there? So what I'm showing you now is some results from pre-season. The first one was against Milan and we won, but I was a bit concerned about the amount of shots we were giving away. This was amplified in the next match against Lugano. Yes, we had 25 shots with 69% possession, but they also had 16 shots and scored 3 times. So the system I got set up at the time wasn't quite right. If I needed any further convincing, this game against Villarreal, where they absolutely bossed us, was it. If we were going to continue with the way I had them set up, we were going to get battered. And this was the first version of the tactic that I put together. You'll notice that the fullbacks are both on defend. I've got a ball-playing defender there and defender as well. And in front of him is a half-back. I bet 9 out of 10 of you thought if he's playing one centre-back, he's going to be using a half-back, right? Now, that inverted wing-back role we talked about there initially was a defensive midfielder on support. In behind, a box-to-box, central midfielder attacking, trying to back up the striker, and 2 inverted wingers. But like we just saw, something wasn't quite right. It was a bit too exposed. The team instructions down the side there will show you how we're going for possession based with the shorter passing, the playing out of defence, the dribbling less and the working ball into box, but there's something not quite right. So after some tweaks, this is what we did to Roma. Roma took the lead in 6 minutes and I thought, oh, are we doing something wrong here? But then we absolutely dominated Lukaku with a hat-trick. You can see we had to give Roma a sniff. We tweaked it and it started to work. So how did we change it? So the first thing we did was we moved this guy across. So these two were just in front of the centre-back there. So the centre-back's covering there. And these guys are kind of both in there like that. First game went okay, but then we changed it again. I wanted more from these two in here. I wanted them to dominate the match, so that made a role change happen. Now this role change might not be what you're expecting. The halfback, he was dropping too deep, but sometimes he was just not getting involved at all. Wasn't touching the ball, he was just kind of there. And next to him, the defensive midfielder, again, not getting involved. Remember, we're playing possession-based football. City in real life, this guy for them will routinely have 100, 110 passes a match. And that's what I wanted, so I did something a bit radical. Your eyes do not deceive you. Ladies and gents, we've got a double regista. Now on the surface, that could look pretty balmy, right? It could look pretty balmy, but bear with me, it does work. They get the ball, they give it, they follow it around, they're always available for the pass. And if you look a bit closer, you might think I've gone double balmy, because in behind them, it's a libero. I'm okay, I swear I'm okay. Let me explain. So the libero will drop off and sweep balls over. When we've got no cover in here or in here, he's got a lot to do there. He needs to read the game. So if I've got him too high up and he overcommits, the space in behind is going to be too easy. So the way I thought about it was, it's like an old school sweeper for those who played old school Championship Manager games. And then we've just got to hope we don't lose the ball. And most of the season, we haven't lost the ball. Now the data hub is going to show us some big time things here, so look at passes attempted here. Let's bring it up. Passes attempted 951, like we said before. Fewer passes in the defensive third than expected. We made most passes just before the halfway line. You know why? Because that's where the two registars are, in there making all the little passes tick. Next off, the overall passing, you can see we're head and shoulders above everyone. Lots of passing, accurate passing, and again, Verona, what's going on there? But we're way up there. Now your passing dynamics, you can see teams do not complete a lot of passes against us compared to the average, and we pass more, so much more than anyone. This lends itself to the pitch tilt. We're only slightly behind Lazio, but we're still absolutely killing it. Now this is one to look for later if we do hit a bump. So this is possession gained, and fewer possession gains in the defensive third than expected, because we literally don't have the players to do that. We gain most possession just before the halfway line, so you double pivot there, your box-to-box midfielder doing the job. And there's an example of a pass map. You can see all the passes going between the players. The guys that aren't involved really is the striker and the central midfielder on attack. Everybody else getting loads of the ball. Now I knew I was kind of in business when this result happened against Juve. 16 shots, only 6 from Juve, 71% possession, an XG of 2.94 with 954 passes against Juve. But on the flip side, a word of caution, when you're playing against a tough team like Real Madrid away from home, so that home-away dynamic, we got absolutely battered. I mean, look at the statistics. Yes, we dominated possession, but we did nothing with it, and Real Madrid just cut us to shreds. So it's obviously not a sustainable formation to win everything. Right, here's the tactic. I'm not going to go through the player instructions and talk you through all the team instructions. You can see them down the side there. I'm not saying this is going to work for everybody. In fact, I'm pretty convinced it won't. I just think we've got some good players that are lending themselves to it. I will point out some key ones while we're just talking here. I've got the left-hand side register marking specific position, and that is the striker. The reason being, it means he'll stick a little bit deeper. Rather the other side, I've got him going a little bit further forward, trying to mimic the Rico Lewis role. But that's about it. You can see what I've done with the fullbacks on defend. I'm not tied to that. Inverted wingbacks on defend may be an option as well. We're going to experiment as we go if things hit the skids a little bit. But there's all the other player instructions if you want to give this a go. But by all means, I'm not saying this is a great tactic that's going to win everything, because there's a massive element of risk involved. So since this match against Atalanta, the last game before the winter break, you can see them shredding us up there with Morales from Rangers, who they must have bought, of all people. But look at these goals. You can see them exploiting the gaps. That's round the back from Hatibor. Morales puts that one in. And I think the final goal is more of the same there. You can see that ball through. When the libero doesn't get it, you are in big time trouble. Great finish. You're in big trouble. A 3-0 defeat, and pretty resounding as well, you have to say. Now, since that game, we've drew with Empoli 2-2, which we should obviously be winning. We've beat Spezia and we've beat Venezia, but we're not looking very good at the minute. I'm wondering if Mr. Computer, Mr. AI, has said, enough of this nonsense, I've worked you out. By the way, the two guys I've got in the double pivot, look at some of these stats. So we've got Brozovic here, 7.43 average rating, absolutely killing the season. If we go to form and look at this down here, look at the games where he's completed the match. The passes he's completing are exactly what we wanted. 103 there in only 76 minutes. Full game against Empoli, 104 passes, 34 passes, nearly completed 100%. The passing is ridiculous. Down here, 144 passes against Sampdoria. That's what you want to see. And how about this? This is the most I've ever seen from one player. Against Lecce, 197 passes attempted with 190 completed. That's why those two are so important. I don't think they're the problem. The problem we've obviously got is this gap here and how we solve that, because we're starting to concede goals. But we'll see how this game goes against Udinese, and then we'll play a clutch of games and see if we can stay on top of the league. Okay, so we're going to go into this match against Udinese. Now, they are playing the narrow wing-back system, and that is one of the formations we've had issues with. Right, we're 12 or so, 15 minutes into this match, and match momentum has been pretty 50-50, and we're not dominating the ball. So this is us. We've only had one key pass, as have Udinese. Now, the one thing I'm thinking about changing, especially for away games, this is us trying to compact the space. That was when I was thinking about trying to replicate City, but this is definitely not a City replication. It's turned into a carnage, one centre-back experiment. Maybe we drop this down a bit. Maybe. For now, we'll keep it up and see what happens. We're in a highlight here, and then the wing-backs are the ones causing us problems. They're both set, and there's that ball over the top, and that's Delafeo. Now, he's playing as a trequartista, so he's getting in behind into that exact gap we talked about. Now, we've got to play a Beto over there. If he squares it to him, we're done. There it is. There's Beto, and there's the first goal. So this is where I can see problem. I think the AI might have worked this out here, you know. In fact, just a couple of minutes later, on the opposite side, nearly identical, and Beto goes through, and it's 2-0, and they have definitely worked us out, I think. Ever since that Atalanta game, and then the winter break, this has started to happen. We weren't conceding goals, now we are, and more worryingly, if we look at the match stats here, we're not even getting in the game anymore. So 75 minutes gone, and remember, this is the team and the formation, nothing's changed, that battered Juventus, battered Roma, but now, Udinese, we can't get a kick. We lost the Super Coppa in the 120th minute. So remember what I was saying about, I think the AI's worked out how to score against us. Standard match against Torino. So we're nearing the end of the video now. I just wanted to show you that one centre-back could be feasible. If you're dominating against a team and you can't break them down, you can switch to this sort of formation. It's going to give you more options going forward. If you look in the top corner there, I've actually tweaked the formation a little bit. I put Gagliardini as a ball winner. I've moved Barella on for this match against Lazio. And at the minute, it's doing the business. So it's another version of the one centre-back. You can see the heat map here. So you've got Bastoni, who's literally the lone soldier. My two registars are getting forward quite high. And my wide fullbacks, they're the issue. Because I'd love to bring them in a bit more without making them wide centre-backs. In fact, we've just gone 3-1 up. Hakan, I've asked the two wide men to sit a bit narrow as well through. And there's Barella. He's looked really good in that role just off the number 9. So maybe that's another option. Crew, are we over the blip? In goes number 4. Correa in the box, lays it back, and there's Brozovic. Little dink in. 4-1 against Lazio. So we're on a good run. We're on a good run. It's firing back. Napoli away 2-2. I take that if we were playing 3 centre-backs, never mind 1. And now we've got the Champions League. We're still in that. In the league, we are sitting second behind Juve, who've just been winning loads of games. They've only lost 3, but 1 was to us when we battered them. So we're still in that. And all that, unbelievably, with this one centre-back tactic. We've got 2 of them now, so we've got 2 versions. We've got this one, which we've just been starting to use, which is going quite nicely. And that's the original one as well. So at the minute, I'm going to leave that save. But if you're interested, maybe I carry it on. What do you think? Do I carry this save on and see if we can win something with one centre-back?